King Jr. was born in 1923. His given name was Michael, but later he had it changed to Martin. He grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, attending Syrian public schools. After earning his high school diploma and starting college at only 15 years old, he went on to obtain a doctorate in 1915. After earning his high school diploma and starting college at only 15 years old, he went on to obtain a doctorate in 1955. While working on his doctorate in Boston, he met Coretta Scott. They were married and had 4 children, 2 daughters and 2 sons. After graduation, King became a pastor at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Atlanta. King was an unapologetic advocate for the rights of the black race. He believed that poverty was a crushing weight that prevented the black race from achieving its potential. He told a story to an audience at Stanford University about a man who approached him and told him that if people should pick themselves up by their bootstraps and make their lives better. His rebuttal was, how do you tell a man to pick himself up by his bootstraps when he has no boots? He was a passionate believer in using nonviolent methods to effect change. He courageously spoke out against individuals that abused their power and influence. In 1964, after moving to the forefront of the American Civil Rights Movement, King was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts to establish equal rights for African Americans. After a fiery speech on April 3rd in favor of sanitation workers, the unthinkable happened. King loved America. He praised the founders in his speeches and shared his appreciation for the Constitution. King held a core belief that all men are created equal and that equality was a gift from God. He had a vision for a united country. However, he warned that the country would not realize the potential to be truly united until all laws were just and all men were treated with respect. Martin Luther King Jr.'s greatest legacy, and the event that he was most recognized for, is the speech he gave on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. In that speech, he called for people to recognize the worth of the individual, he said. That speech was given 53 years ago, but the message is needed today more than ever. To fulfill Dr. King's dream, we need to become people of character. We need to be stable, reliable, and worthy of the attention we're looking for. If you have a message to share, it can be most clearly heard by your actions. We remember Martin Luther King Jr. for his unwavering faith in the human spirit. His example can be a powerful reminder to us still today of the power of a single person to change the world, not through anger, violence, and destruction, but through dialogue, patience, long-suffering, and peaceful action.
Mr. Chairman, friends and brothers in this first gathering of the National Conference on New Politics, ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me in the back? I don't know if the Klan is in here tonight or not with all the trouble we're having with these microphones. And seldom, if ever, we're still working with it. As I was about to say, seldom, if ever, has such a diverse and truly ecumenical gathering convened under the aegis of politics in our nation. And I want to commend the leadership of the National Conference on New Politics for all of the great work that they have done in making this significant convention possible. Indeed, by our very nature, we affirm that something new is taking place on the American political horizon. We have come here from the dusty plantations of the Deep South and the depressing ghettos of the North. We have come from the great university.
Direct from our newsroom in Washington, in color, this is the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite and Russ Hodge in Memphis, Tennessee, Dan Rather in New York, Bernard Kalb in Saigon, Marvin Kalb in Wellington, New Zealand, and Bert Quint in Quezon, South Vietnam.
Good evening. Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee. Police have issued an all-points bulletin for a well-dressed young white man seen running from the scene. Officers also reportedly chased and fired on a radio-equipped car containing 2 white men. Dr. King was standing on the balcony of a second-floor hotel room tonight when, according to a companion, a shot was fired from across the street. In the friend's words, the bullet exploded in his face. Police, who have been keeping a close watch over the Nobel Peace Prize winner because of Memphis' turbulent racial situation, were on the scene almost immediately. They rushed the 39-year-old Negro leader to a hospital where he died of a bullet wound in the neck. Police said they found a high-powered hunting rifle about a block from the hotel, but it was not immediately identified as the murder weapon. Mayor Henry Loeb has reinstated the dusk-to-dawn curfew he imposed on the city last week when a march led by Dr. King erupted in violence. Governor Buford Ellington has called out 4,000 National Guardsmen, and police report that the murder has touched off sporadic acts of violence in a Negro section of the city. In a nationwide television address, President Johnson expressed the nation's shock.
America is shocked and saddened by the brutal slaying tonight of Dr. Martin Luther King. I ask every citizen to reject the blind violence that has struck Dr. King, who lived by nonviolence.
Dr. King